Welcome to the UTMB World Series live question and answer session. Thank you all for joining us here today. As I am sure most of you are all aware that the UTMB Group and the Ironman Group have announced an exciting new development in the sport of trail running with the introduction of the new UTMB World Series. Change often brings questions, and after taking the time to listen to the community and the feedback, today, UTMB hope to address the main questions that people have raised. And we have a panel with us here today that will be answering your questions live. Catherine Poletti, co-founder of UTMB and chairwoman of the UTMB Group. Welcome, Catherine. Michelle Poletti, co-founder of UTMB and special advisor. Marie Sammons, Ultra Trail World Tour director. Thank you for being here, Marie. Fernanda Maciel, elite athlete, winner of Lavaredo, Transgran Canaria, Peñagolosa Trails, and 6th at the UTMB in 2018. Thank you for joining us, Fernanda. And on video, we have Brian Metzler, longtime running journalist and author. Hi, Brian. Thanks for being with us. Stuart McConaughey, UTCT race director. Hey there, Stuart.
Yes. Hi, thanks.
And Jim Walmsley, elite athlete, winner of Tarawera, Western States 100, World Mountain Running Champion in 2019, and 5th in the UTMB in 2017. Thanks for being here with us, Jim. So welcome to all of you, and thank you for taking the time for joining us here today. And before we get started, I'd like to invite the audience, those of you who are watching us live, to send in your questions. We will be chatting for about an hour to an hour and a half or so, addressing various topics regarding the UTMB World Series. So we do invite you to send in your questions, and we'll address those at the end of today's panel. So before we get started again, well, we're going to do a little teaser. So we're going to give the tech team the cue for the teaser. Here we go. All right, as we just saw from the video, from as early as 2022, the UTMB World Series will bring together many of the best international events on the planet, which will provide exclusive access to the sport's pinnacle event, UTMB Mont-Blanc. It's an event almost every trail runner dreams of, and yet, as we all know, is oversubscribed every year. With at least 30 events taking place from January to December, spread across 6 continents in 2022, the concept of the new World Series is that runners from across the world will have the chance to live the UTMB experience at events across the globe and closer to home. A key point to note is each event will be based on the high standards of the UTMB Mont Blanc. And in addition to that, the events will be built around the values of UTMB, which we will talk more about in a little while. To bring this vision to life, UTMB Group and the Ironman Group have joined forces to create a strategic partnership that utilizes both companies' expertise to drive forward this groundbreaking development. So to tell us a little bit more, I will hand it over to Catherine Poletti, UTMB Group Chairwoman. Catherine, welcome. And if you could please explain to us the concept behind the UTMB World Series and what inspired its creation.
Okay, I will try to do it very simple and very fast. In the beginning, in 2003, and I will be short on the first time, we created this event step by step, race by races, and each time there is more and more people who came here. And with these people, there are runners and a lot of organizers of all over the world. We had the contact of many organizers who wanted to do the same in their own country, and they came to ask to us, how can we do that? The first one was UTMF, for example, and they came, they were 20 and they came like that. And then we can know, and all the runners know, that there is not a huge place in this valley, and today there is 10,000 of runners with 7 races during 1 week, who came from more than 100 countries, and that's enough to do it on this week. And because of that, because each year we refused a lot of persons. For example, in 2018 there were quite 18 demands for a little bit less than 10,000 possibility to register, and then the year after it was 24,000 demands and not anymore possibility to register. Then in 2019 it was a little bit more than 32,000 demands, and instead of create more frustrated persons than runners who are able to come in, we decided to open to the world and to answer to all the persons. We began that with UTWT in 2014 and opened the concept of UTWT with a lot of free races all around the world in beautiful places, but they have together, they share the communication. And then it was very different races, with each has their rules, own rules, and each has their own organization and independent. Then because we have a lot of ask from Chinese, for example, in 2016 we began with UTMB International, with some events were franchised, and we did some of them, but it's not so easy when you are in Chamonix to teach the organizer from so long distance between us. And so we decided, and for many reasons, we had the time because of the COVID. So it was also an opportunity to think, to try to find a new solution, and it gave us the time to organize the UTMB International World Series with a new concept. It's that all these races need to have some rules, common rules, but one of the best things is the possibility to go to the runners instead of the runners come here, to be able to propose everywhere in the world something for the runners, and like that we imagine that they can travel less to travel better, because they are able to find near where there are some races, and the other one who travel are able to spend a little bit more time in this country to discover the person and the culture, because trail running is not only the sport, trail running is also the possibility to meet somebody, meet any person, to discover all the diversity of landscapes, but also the persons.
And I believe there's how many events in 2022?
In 2022, we plan to have at least 30 events. We didn't announce all of them now because we prefer to finish the deals before announce them, and we will announce them in the autumn probably. But at least 30 events, and we place them in the where are the runners. It's not just to put them in it's not a geographic choice. It is a community choice. We choose the place where are the runners who come, who demand to come on the UTMB Mont-Blanc. It's like that we decided to place all the races.
Okay, thank you, Catherine. And next question, why do you think trail running needs this type of series? Maybe Michel, you can take this question?
Yes. Hello, everybody. Why trail running? Because trail running, as everyone knows, is growing so fast. It's still a very fast-growing market. Not market, but the community is going larger year by year. And so we just think that it was also a good opportunity to propose something probably clear than we saw over the years several development of the sport. We took part in Ultra Trail World Tour. We created by UTMB. We saw the happening of other international circuits, and we think that the sport need some strong international circuit, and we think that we are legitimate to build such a good international circuit.
And something maybe with a bit of structure and cohesiveness from one event to the next, spread across the world.
Yes, because we learn a lot also about from our past experiences in UTWT, in by UTMB organization, and that's why we try to bring all our knowledge, our knowledge, international knowledge of organizing. We try to put all the things all together to build this new great UTMB World Series circuit.
Thank you, Michel. And now a few questions for our elite athletes. I'll start with you, Fernanda. Hello again.
Hello.
So as an elite athlete, what are your initial thoughts of the overall concept of the World Series?
Well, my first impression was like, wow, how can that be possible, to be Ultra Trail du Mont Blanc with Ironman? Because I've been racing UTMB 9 times, because for me it's the best, it's the dream of each runner to be here in Chamonix racing. And in Brazil, my country, we have 4 events of Ironman. And I'm a big fan of triathlon, so always I follow this race, and I saw how it's the triathlon impact my country, because you have these events. So if you can have Ultra Trail du Mont Blanc arriving in the countries and closer to the runners, I think for my sport, trail running, you be the most. It's like you be a dream, and it's just perfect.
Maybe there will be one in Brazil?
Well, I hope so.
Well, Katrina, Brazil,
Yes.
Brazil. We got to get that one on the list.
Yes, you have so many runners there, and each year you can see like more runners running on the mountains, on the beach, and for sure it will be for my country will be the best.
And Jim, I'd like to ask you the same question. Is Jim there with us? What are your initial thoughts on the overall concept of the UTMB World Series?
Yeah, I think here in the US, it was kind of greeted with maybe a little skepticism because it was announced with the Ironman branding as well. But from my opinion, I think it's trying something new that's going to provide a bigger platform for professional athletes to kind of develop, all accumulating at Ultra Trail Mont-Blanc. And I think us Americans have a very like big love for UTMB, and it's exciting to see that kind of shape the top of the pyramid for our sport. And I think it kind of structures a lot of goals that are going to trickle down. And it's a new approach to try to restructure and include more people in it. And I think hopefully it's going to grow the professional side of the sport.
Great. Thank you, Jim. Catherine, back another question for you. Why did the UTMB decide to partner with the Ironman Group on this new venture?
There is a long time that we speak with guys of Ironman, but not only them. We spoke with a lot of organizer, business organizer, maybe Spartan, maybe Motive, maybe Virgin, and Ironman guys. And we have, after a long time, from 3 years, we speak with them to arrive to a good agreement between us. We wanted to keep the control of the values, the control of a kind of organization. And Andrew and Mathieu were really smart because they understood that, and at the end they accepted that UTMB, because of his notoriety, because of his legitimacy in this world, keep the control of the sport and the rule of the sport and the values. And them, they are very important for us to be able to propose as soon as 2022 at least 30 events. They have the possibility to push them and to help them with their strength in kind of organization. They have a lot of office all around the world. And as you know, we thought it was a very good deal together to do it with each other, his qualities. So because of that, we have this kind of agreement with them. And in the same time, I think we have to remind to everybody that Ironman Group is a group who is probably the biggest one who organize a mass event all over the world, and outdoor mass event. It's not only triathlon. Trail running is not triathlon. It's probably the reason why they need us. They needed us to go in this world of the trail running. But they organize also some running on roads, like Rock and Roll Marathon series. They organize a bicycle with a Cape Peak. They organize some events in surf and a lot of things like that. So it's just one more outdoor sport. They help us to, with the strength, to organize all over the world.
Okay. And so, Brian, next question for you, maybe, Brian. Picking up about the comment about structure in the sport, do you feel this new UTMB World Series provides that? And some people have sent in questions saying they're concerned that there maybe are too many competing series. Can it be confusing for trail runners?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I think that the sport started to globalize in the early 2000s, certainly with the start of UTMB. And, you know, at that point, the sport was growing so much on an international level, people were trying to find the events to go to. I think certainly now we understand kind of where the big events are, where the marquee events are. And I think this will certainly help with structure. I think from an elite athlete point of view, certainly having a series structure similar to what Ironman became is going to be important for athletes, for exposure, for their own kind of personal training in high level races. In the U.S., there's some key, and around the world too, there's key races, but there's no real kind of hierarchy really. There's just a lot of good races, but I think this puts hierarchy on a specific championship style race, which is good. And I think for the everyday average runner like myself or like anyone else who wants to compete, I think certainly having a place to go to have that experience and then maybe hopefully qualifying, I think is also really good. So I think that there's certainly a lot of positives to that. You know, similar to how other sports in endurance have globalized and organized.
Wonderful. Thank you. Thank you for that, Brian. Next question to Marie. Marie, we'll speak a little bit more about the Ultra Trail World Tour later and its future, but in general, as someone who has been instrumental in the development of the sport and worked with many organizers and elite athletes, what are your views on the benefits of this new UTMB World Series?
Well, a lot has been said, but I think we're living very, very exciting time for our sport. As it was just said, that having too many potential series circuit trying to this all created some confusion, and I think we have here the opportunity to really put clarity and to help all runners, elite runners, but not only, like the full community, to really know where to go. So you know, I've had a lot of conversation with a lot of runners and a lot of elite runners, and they're looking for confrontation. So they want to know who's going where and when. So this is going to be much easier to tell them where people will go, and also so they wanted that clarity, saying too many circuits. We don't know what to choose, and having that opportunity to have that closer to home and have this UTMB sort of atmosphere we can have, but closer to home. So they all, they're super positive about it. And then if I look at the event for them, the event being part of this series is a great opportunity to grow and to grow fast if needed. So yeah, it's a very exciting time.
Thank you, Marie. And just to talk about the values a bit of the UTMB, one of the values is the preservation of the mountains and protection of the environment. A few people in the community have raised concerns that the UTMB World Series is encouraging people to travel more, and the environmental impact of that. Catherine, what would you say to that?
I say just the opposite. Because today there is a lot of persons who want to go everywhere around the world and to come, all want to come around the Mont-Blanc. And today I think to go to the communities to propose to them some races with the same standards of quality, with all the same tools we propose. Maybe it's to take care of the environment where they are. It's also to take care of the solidarity where they are. It's to propose UTMB Live where they are, the possibility for all the runners to communicate with all their families where they are. And this is, I think, exactly the opposite. Instead of everybody come here, we go to them. And like that, it's like if you drive a car, you have many cars to put 50 persons, and if you put the bus, it's not so many cars on the road. So I think it's exactly the opposite. And the other thing is to propose to more persons not to be obliged to travel, to be able to find that. On UTMB, one of the very important value is to propose to all the runners, they are elite or not, to be able to have an experience. Everybody speak about an experience, but to be able to leave something extraordinary, to make their ordinary become extraordinary. And I think this is the most important value we can propose and we can organize all over the world.
And Stuart, what's your opinion on the travel issue and the notion of having events closer to home?
Well, I think obviously the world has obviously gone a lot smaller, and everyone is running local events. So there has been a highlight on local events. We've certainly noticed it here, but I think people in general are aching to travel and to reignite that passion. And Marie and Michelle mentioned meeting people. That's one of the strong factors around UTCT is so many foreign people come down to run, and there's a meeting of that greater global community, which is so important in the sport.
And then with potentially with all the different races across the globe in the years to come, people can be more selective when they choose their travel destination. For example, of course, they will have races at home, but then say, well, we all like to travel. We all want to go have experiences abroad and live different cultures. If we just stayed home all the time, well, that's no fun. So maybe also this will entice people to be a little bit more, okay, I'm going to go to this destination this year and not only just race, but spend a week with my family and enjoy the local culture. So it'll be, on top of it, a whole different experience. And I believe that's what we're trying to encourage as well.
Of course, it's exactly what I try to say. I think today, if you have a look on UTMB Mont-Blanc, we have 300 Chinese, we have quite 300 Americans, we have a lot of persons who come from Brazil, a lot of persons who come from Argentina. If all these persons, they have some time an event with the same standards near where they are not obliged each year to try to be in the lottery of UTMB Mont Blanc. They can, but they are not obliged. And they have something near where they are. And for the other one, it is the possibility to discover, as you said, once maybe something in Philippines, maybe in Thailand, maybe in Oman, and to discover this new adventure and these new cultures.
And then another question that we received quite a bit is that will the cost to access the UTMB events go up?
I don't know why, because today I think the cost of the access depends on the services the organizer is offered to all the runners. And today the access on UTMB is 280 euros. It's not the cheaper in Europe, but it's not the more expensive in the world. It's just size about the services we are able to propose. And these services are not only the 8 stations, it is all the information we provide to all the runners from the moment where they want to register to the moment where they need to be ready. It is also the possibility to take care and to offer to all their loved ones, their friends, to communicate with them, to share with them their own experience. It is, of course, and today we have to say that, a very good security organization. It is a lot of things like that who make the price of the registration. But today, I think all the runners need to understand that if we have no partners and we need to be correct with these partners, maybe the price will be the double. So there is a good balance to be able to propose a good event to the partners and to propose good services to the runners. And these runners, they can share with their families, because we take care not only of the runners, we take care of all the friends and the families and the accompagnants who are coming on the way.
Thank you, Catherine. And now shifting gears just a little bit, my next question will be for you, Michel, in regards to the sport system, and briefly, if you can explain what it will look like, because there are different levels. From my understanding, there's the qualifiers, there's the events, there's the majors, and the finals. So if you could please explain these different categories, if you will, to us, so we can get some clarity.
Yes, I will try to be as simple as possible. But indeed, actually, we really tried to make this new system more simple than the former one. People or runners are used to have qualifying races for UTMB Mont-Blanc and then to be able to take part in the lottery for UTMB Mont-Blanc. In fact, we just add one stage more. We have always qualifiers, UTMB World Series qualifiers, who are all the races in the world, thousands of races in the world, who could be, will be, I hope, will be happy to take part in this organization. It will be free for them just to register on our new website. We will open tomorrow, and for them to give a possibility to their runners to have a privileged access, not to UTMB Mont-Blanc, but to all the UTMB World Series events all over the world. And on this UTMB World Series events, they will be they will get some running stones, and these running stones will be the possibility for regular runners to go in the lottery for UTMB Mont Blanc. So it's just 3 levels, with just a little bit more with the majors. And the majors are 3 events inside the UTMB World Series event, in which we will try to get more elite athletes, a kind of continental final each year in America or in Europe or in Asia, to have very good, very wonderful events. In addition with UTMB Mont Blanc, to have all elite athletes gathered on these events. So yes, it's not so difficult. I think it's simple. I hope it's simple.
So I'm just going to recap to make sure I understand. So you have thousands of qualifier races all over the world. Those do not have the UTMB, let's say, logo on them. But if you go to a qualifier race, you can then access the World Series with privileges, because let's say there's a World Series event in Timbuktu. I don't know, I'm just making something up. And everybody wants to go to Timbuktu. So if I do a qualifier and I want to go to Timbuktu, then I'll have a little bit of a privilege to get into the Timbuktu race, which is part of the World Series. And then if I participate in the series, Timbuktu, I get 1 Rolling Stone. Correct? Yep. Okay, so I have a Rolling Stone, and then I want to go to wherever, another race and another race. So each race I do in the series, I get a Rolling Stone, correct? And then if I'm feeling good this year and I want to go to the finals in here in Chamonix, I give you all of my Rolling Stones into the big pot of lottery. So if I did 5 races, 5 Rolling Stones. If I did 1 race, only 1 Rolling Stone. So the more World Series events I do, the greater chances I then have of getting picked to be able to compete here in the finals with Fernanda, for example. Is that correct?
And if you're not picked, you keep your Rolling Stones and you can use them the following year.
Okay, so if the next year after I do another 2 or 3 races, then I add that to my collection. So even though I put them in the lottery, let's say this year, I didn't get picked, I get them back.
Right.
and then I add to them. Next year I'll have 8 Rolling Stones. I put all of them in.
That's right.
And then if I don't get picked, I get them back. Okay. And if I do get picked, what happens then?
You lose them all.
So I get to participate, and then I get to start over and do other. Okay, I understand.
And just one little thing: if you for 2 years you're pregnant, you cannot enter the lottery. You keep your Rolling Stones, even if you're not running for the period of 2 years. And we just ask you to reactivate by taking part to one event, and then you gain your full load of Rolling Stones.
Okay. And then just a little specific point. So the majors that we spoke about, there's 3 majors within the series, so 1 on each continent, and those would double the Rolling Stones. So if I go to a majors event, I run, I do, I finish, I get 2 Rolling Stones.
Yes, you are almost perfect. Just one detail more is that you will get a number of Rolling Stones depending on the distance of your race. We have 4 new categories of 20K, more or less, short distances, 20K more or less, 50K, 100K, and 100 miles. And depending on the category of a race you finish, you will get 1, 2, 3, or 4 Rolling Stones. And on the major, you will get 2, 4, 6, or 8 Rolling Stones.
But I can imagine that, let's say, if I do the 20-kilometer races and I have a few Rolling Stones, I can't put my Rolling Stones into a lottery for the 100K. I have to keep it in the 20-kilometer distance.
Yes, we have just one small additional, but after that, every people would think that it's very complicated. It's not so complicated. Yes, to register on UTMB Mont-Blanc itself, the big one, you need to have finished at least 100K race.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, I think that's getting clearer and clearer.
And if I may, we spoke only about regular runners, and we have also a new system for elite runners. And for elite runners, it's also very simple for them to be able to qualify for the final here in Mont-Blanc. We just ask them to qualify on one race in the year before the UTMB Mont-Blanc, just to be on the top 3 on the UTMB World Series event, or to be on the top 10 on the major.
Okay.
And so we hope also that it's a very simple way for elite athletes just to take part in one race in order to be qualified for the final.
Okay, excellent. Now I'm going to throw a question to Brian. From a media perspective, Brian, what do you think that the interest will be in the new World Series? For example, recognizing UTMB world champions across different distances. We just spoke with Michel about there's now going to be 20-kilometer distances in the World Series.
Yeah, I think generally it'll be very high. I think it brings more exposure to trail running. I think especially in mainstream media, we know that the sport media, especially in Europe and USA, has been keen on kind of all the races. But I think the sport in general, trail running, has certainly needed a championship level event. I think again, all the individual events around the world have been great, and they're all kind of very tied to their own history and communities, and that's great. But I think every year, everyone's kind of waiting to see who got in what race. Right? Even Jim's running Western States, which happens to be a pretty strong field this year, but it's always who got in what race. And that's the same for the Hard Rock here and maybe UTMB in the past. And I think that as fans and as athletes, it's always better to have a full field of championship level runners so you can see who becomes a world champion. I think that's going to be one of the best parts about this in terms of exposure and in terms of media. I think there's a really compelling story there when you get a really, really deep field of runners competing.
Okay, thank you for that, Brian. And I'm going to go back to Fernanda and Jim. So start with Fernanda again. As an elite, what is your opinion of the sport system for the UTMB World Series?
For me now, it's super important to listen, Michel, because my distance, 100 miles, I was thinking in the beginning, I should race so many to be able to come to Chamonix, but no. So if I race like also short race, I can be getting these running stones and come to Chamonix, because it's 100 miles, as you know, it's destroyed so much. It's a so hard race, and also so competitive sometimes, depends of the race. So it's important that collecting these running stones, you're still able to come to Chamonix to the finals.
And Jim, same question for you. What do you think of the
Yeah.
sports system?
I think the development of the 3 championships is going to be really unique in the system. I think that's going to bring another layer to UTMB and competitiveness in the world ultra running scene, especially going 10 deep to qualify for UTMB. I think it's going to really bring a lot of new excitement. I think it's going to be, I'm really excited to see what races are going to be announced as those 3. I think they're going to have a lot of focus and become very big races in the world.
Okay, excellent. It's so good to see you guys enthusiastic about it, Fernanda and Jim, and I'm sure many other elite athletes are as well. It's fantastic. But back to Michel. Is it hence becoming a closed system, though? Is it going to hurt or impact races outside of the system?
Not especially a closed system, maybe a less open system, because sorry, it was possible just to get points on the former system. It was just possible to get points and to try to get in the UTMB Mont-Blanc. We saw that it was no more possible, because we have a huge quantity of demands each year, and we were going on the wall with this former system. But we really want to stay as open as possible, and that's why we just added just 1 level, but we are still completely open to the thousands of races in the world. We will be happy to stay as UTMB World Series qualifiers.
And what about from the runner's perspective? Is it going to be easier or harder for runners to access the UTMB Mont Blanc?
In fact, we think it will be easier and simpler. We introduced a running stone 2 years ago, but it was still a complicated system with a running stone, but also with qualifying points. It was not so easy to understand sorry, how many running stone, how many qualifying points, and so sorry. And so we tried to make the new system really more simple by asking people just to collect running stone and then to be able to enter the lottery. And the way to do this is as simple as just run a qualifier. Just by running a qualifier, have your an updated performance index, and if anyone see that you have an active performance index, just by running 1 qualifier at least in the 2 previous years, then you have a privileged access to the UTMB World Series event, in which you can get at least 1 running stone, and with this or these running stones, you can enter the lottery. And as you explained, the more running stone you have, the more chances you have to get at the UTMB Mont Blanc. So yes, we think it's easier to understand, and it's a more simple system, and that's what we wanted to do, and what we hope that we did.
Okay, so now we understand the running stones. And what about the performance index? How is this different to the ITRA ranking that we used?
Yes, the question is that we know the performance index that was created by a French guy, a friend of us, whose name is Didier Kurdi. And Didier created this performance index more than 10 years ago. And you know also, everyone knows that I leave the presidency of ITRA last year, just because maybe ITRA is right now a big association, and it was probably time for ITRA to be completely independent from UTMB. And that's a main reason of my resignation as president of ITRA. And ITRA, at the beginning of this year, made the decision not to use anymore the performance index created by DJ Kurdi. So that's their choice. But we believe in this tool. And we believe that we must continue to run this tool, because this tool offers very good services to the runners. And so that's why we decided to integrate this tool in our new sport system by cancelling the points, not to create more confusion between the points, the qualifying points, and the running stone. It was confusing, so we canceled the points, and we just decided to use the performance index as just the proof that you have run some qualifiers, then you have an active performance index, then you are allowed to have a privileged access in the UTMB World Series event.
Okay, so for example, if I have a pocket full of my running stones, I have 10, 15 running stones that I accumulated over the years, but then if for whatever reason I haven't been running for 2 or 3 years, then I can't all of a sudden take my running stones and say, hey, I want to come to the UTMB World Series finals. So this is what the performance index kind of maintains and shows that people are still active.
Sorry, Monica, not exactly.
Oh.
Not exactly. There is no link between the running stone and the performance index. The performance index, we just believe that it's a very good tool that gives the possibility to each runner in the world to know his level, to make a comparison with the other runners, and we just wanted to keep this asset and to continue to develop this asset.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification. All right, so now I'm going to throw a question out to Stuart. Stuart, what about the elites? What do you see as benefits of them taking part in the UTMB World Series? And what do you think that means for the events in the series?
Brian mentioned it, and I think I'll echo that, was that the sport has been kind of crying out for a stronger series where races are highlighted and the elites are then not forced, but are then going to go to those races, and we'll see the cream of the crop. I mean, competition brings out the best in everybody, and it has been something that's been lacking. With I guess so many strong races around the planet, it became a little bit convoluted or too many races, so you never quite knew which was which. Obviously, UTMB has always been the pinnacle. But I think it's a really exciting aspect, especially for the elites. It brings in the opportunity to really highlight what they do, and to gain global recognition and push the sport much further than it possibly has been.
And that would actually lead into my next question for Fernanda and Jim. What do you hope for the future of your sport through this series?
I think it's as this circuit can reach more people, so I think you'll be each time harder and more professional. I think for the sport is great. I've been doing ultras for 11, 12 years, And I'm thinking already, like in 10 years, how you be lucky now, the runners, to be more clear, no, how it's growing the trail running, and how they can also be assessing this distance, no, 20, 50, 100 and 100 miles. Because usually for me as a runner, the mountains was a bit mess, no? If I do 70 kilometers race, how many points I can get ITRA, or 120 or 50, or a vertical race. So now having this kilometers like that, I think it's easier for us to be also looking for performance. No, each distance I want to have my best performance, and what is my style. I think then you'll be easier for us as a runner to be more professional in this in the trail running sport.
Okay, thank you. Jim?
Yeah, I think from my perspective of an elite, I see it as a potential for a bigger stage to provide more room for more professional athletes, and basically more people the opportunity of kind of what I've been afforded, and focus more just on doing ultra trail running and training full time. And hopefully this provides a bigger platform, stage, structure that's going to allow more elite to move into the sport, give them direction as to what to shoot for goal-wise, whether it's the majors or UTMB, and have that competition to go out there and prove it head-to-head in races.
And another question for the two of you, Fernanda, could the system get diluted if athletes align themselves with different series? Are you concerned at all about that? And do you think that we will see the best athletes compete in Chamonix?
Yes, I think so. I've been running also Ultra Trail World Tour, and at the end, it's in Ultra Trail du Mont-Blanc that you see the best and you give the best. Also, as you have in Ironman Kona, you have some qualifying race, but it's in Kona that at the end show up the best. So I think in this circuit, I think you'll be the same. I think in Chamonix, you can see the best. Because everybody you push harder here, and everybody you give the best in this race.
What about the other series that exist? Will that dilute a little bit?
Yeah, I think.
Will you go and run series that are not part of the UTMB World Series, for example?
Well, my style is ultra, so this is why for me Ultra Trail du Mont Blanc is so important. So I think it's super positive. I think if I'm a vertical runner or like specialized in just half marathon, maybe it's going to a sky running race. So I don't know. I just say I know that for me, in my style, this is a super important circuit, and so this is why I will be focused on that.
Thank you. So Jim, same questions for you, Jim. Could the system get diluted if athletes align with different series?
The simple answer to that, I think, is yes, but that would probably mean that people aren't putting UTMB as a focus for their running career. And I think that's kind of the big elephant in the room that makes this whole series and everything work, is the draw towards Chamonix and running a big circle around Mont-Blanc. It's just amazing, and it's a beautiful event that we've all been attracted to for years, and we know it really well. So that's definitely the biggest difference. Myself, I feel like I've tried to balance doing lots of different series and events and not just pigeonholing myself in just Ultra Trail World Tour or just like the Golden Trail Series. Like I've done a couple of those races and shorter stuff, and I regularly participate in a lot of American events as well. So I think it kind of depends on what athletes want to get, and I think some will be drawn towards other series, but ultimately if you want to be at UTMB, I think it's going to provide the structure and the goal, like the direction to bring the competition into this series first and foremost.
Thank you, Jim. Okay. And shifting gears now just a little bit, talking about structure and strategy. So I'll come back to you, Marie. Does this mean that there's no more Ultra Trail World Tour?
Yes, that's what it means. Yes, the Ultra World Tour will end at the end of December, 2021. This is life, and I think we can be very proud of what Ultra World Tour has been able to achieve. Just looking back a little bit, I know it's been making a lot of people discover new places because they were just picking the events of Ultra World Tour. So that's one thing that is very nice. Talking to elite runners, I know that some elite runners were able to have a very good ranking in UTWT, and I know some of them got new sponsors. Some of them now even live from really their passion. So I think all this is great, and yeah, but the future is even greater. I think we take all the good things, all the experience, that all the people we've met, and we all put it together with the UTMB team to make this a new series really, yeah, take all the good stuff.
And then what about the events that are currently part of the UTWT? Will they join the UTMB World Series?
So of course we priority, like we started talking to all the UTWT events to present the series and etc. And yes, a significant number of them will be part of the new series. However, I might say that the format is different than UTWT. The association to the brand UTMB. There is a level of standards. We've talked at length about that, but to bring those events to the standard we know at UTMB, so there will be changes for those who will be with us. Yeah, but we've been working together with UTMB for a long time.
And you're evolving and moving forward together, which is...
I'm very excited.
Yes, yes.
I think we're, we're really on what, 10 years ago, I was not thinking this would be that.
We evolve and we'll smile and we go forward. Yes. And Stuart, so just on that note, bouncing off of what Marie just said in regards to the UTWT, what are your thoughts on that?
No, I think very much the World Tour had run its course. I think, much like we spoke about the series, it needed some highlight events to create that competition. There was just too many races, so the elites could pick and choose where they wanted to be, and I think this just focuses that. And then, for those major races around the world, people will be watching them, and I think that's only exciting for the sport.
Thank you, Stuart. And Catherine, back to you. How will the strategy of the UTMB World Series be decided?
One of the things is that today we have just with elite, but we address also, we take care of all the regular runners. And that's very important because a lot of regular runners want to take part in the same races than the elite. And we are lucky to have this kind of sport where the elite and the regular are able to run the same race in the same time, and it's very important for us. The second thing is that we decided that we wanted to keep all the values we used, and as I said, it is also to take care of the environment everywhere, to be in each place is different, to keep also all which is authentic in all the place who are different. Of course, when you run a trail running in China, it's really not the same character than in France, but in the same time, it is the same rules. And I saw in I think it was in 2015, the first time where we were in Australia, and a lot of runners was quite angry because it was not the same rules, it was not the same mandatory kit. And for example, the jacket need to have a different thing, and they say to me, we are unable to have 40 jacket and 40 rules to learn and everything like that. So the idea was really to do the problem was that it was really difficult to do that all together and to be able to make the runners are confident that the rules, they are able to know them with all which is the sport itself. They are able to know it. They know all the tools. They know exactly how they are able to exchange with all their friends, with everybody, with the medias. And it's the same for the media. They are able to know how it's work. And in that way, we keep on each places the authenticity of a place itself, and that make all the runners are able to discover, really to make tourism, and in the same time to have the sport in the other time.
And so when are we going to discover the 30 other events in the series? When is the calendar going to be announced?
Yes, I know. Today, a lot of persons thought that we have only 8, and they didn't understand, because just after there is a sentence where we say there is at least 30, and it's easier with a name. But probably in fall, we will able, not probably, surely, in October, we will announce that, because everyone knows that October is the moment where are published all the calendars, and so we will be on the good moment to announce everything.
Okay, well, we can't wait for that. I'm sure everybody at home watching is really, really curious to see who's going to be on this event calendar. I know I am, probably Fernanda and everybody else as well. We're going to move on to the questions from the audience. But before that, I'd like to maybe invite the 4 of you, plus Brian, Jim, and Stuart, if you'd like to have any questions amongst yourselves before we pass along to the questions from the public. Is there anything, Fernanda or Jim, that you'd like to ask? You have the opportunity.
Just adding that I was an environmental lawyer in the past, and this is one of the sports that attract myself, because it's sport and nature. So when you tell that oh, you'll be traveling a lot and that is negative, I think it's positive, as Catherine said, that the event is getting closer, and also you are just planting more seeds in more runners that they can. At the end, you feel the passion that you have for mountains. So this is the why you run on the mountains, is because you love nature. So this is so beautiful to see that more events can come, and then you can teach, like you can reach, and teach some runners that the mountain is super important and you need to take care of nature.
Yes, so that's very, very true. And we just started talking about sustainability as well with the UTMB group. For those of you who have had a chance to join us for that, Marie was part of that group Plateau a few weeks ago, and it's exactly that, Fernanda. Like you say, as trail runners, we love to be outside in the nature, and at the same time, we want to preserve it. We want to make sure that it's there today, tomorrow, the next day for future generations, and that is something that the UTMB group will be really trying to instill into the ideologies with all the UTMB World Series events, I'm sure, as well, to make people more aware and bring that home. So now moving on to the questions from the public. Let's see here. I've got Theodore, who has written how a race can be part of UTMB World Series or qualifiers. Michel, Catherine, Marie, who would like to answer this?
We we have to make the difference between qualifiers and UTMB World Series events. Qualifiers, it's possible for every races. Each race in the world can be a qualifier. It will be very simple. Our new website will open tomorrow. And it will be, I think, just a 2 minutes registration to be a UTMB World Series qualifier. Very, very, very simple and free. That's for qualifiers.
So there's no screening process? Everybody can be a qualifier event?
Oui.
There's no screening. Everyone who wants to can be a qualifier?
Absolutely.
Yes.
There will be, as usual, for UTMB Mont-Blanc qualifying races, a charter to be signed, but will be as easy as just as I said.
Wow. So, Theodore, I hope you like that answer. That's great. Okay. Let's see. Next question comes from Steffi. Oh, yes, Marie, of course, please.
Michel didn't answer the second part of the question. Was how to be an event?
How can a race be part of the UTMB World Series or qualifiers? So he answered. He said, you can go online. There's the website.
So Michel answered the first part of the question, was how to be an event qualifier. And I understand a second part of the question, but maybe I misunderstood.
No, that's sorry. Maybe I said it wrong.
Okay,
It's just that.
Okay, it's
You
me.
answered it great. But if you have something you want to bounce back off, it makes you think of something, Marie, please. You know, it's an open discussion. We can talk about other things that off of tangents, of course.
What just then, if a race wanted to apply to be a UTMB World Series event, then they contact us first of all, because it's really a matter of first deep conversation with all the potential events, and then we move forward in more conversation or not. But that's the first.
Yes, I see where you're going with that. Thank you. Sorry about that. You're right. Steffi, will low-profile races, small town, fewer runners, still be eligible as qualifying races? So, yes.
Yes.
All right. That's
Exactly
great.
what I said just before. Yes.
And we have Corinne, who is asking, are there North American races? She's not specifying whether it's qualifiers or World Series. So are there North American races? There will be, as qualifiers and World Series.
Yes. Once, I'm not sure. Yes. Once again, qualifiers is thousands. All the races in the world can be qualifier if they want, and if they sign the very simple charter we propose to them. Yes, our objective is to have several races as UTMB World Series events in North America, and we are just working on that right now. And for sure, as explained at the beginning of this discussion, we want to have the UTMB quality, the UTMB standards. We want to bring them in each country where there are a huge, big communities of runners. So it will be the case in Brazil, your country, Fernanda. It will be the case in Argentina. It will be the case in France. But it will be the case also, of course, in North America, because it's the biggest world country of trail running. So we'll have several UTMB World Series events in North America.
Catherine, you'd like to add something to that?
I just want to add that until now, there is a lot of races who give qualifying points, and there is no change for them to continue to ask to us. It is exactly the same kind of a charter they have to sign, and the only change is that they can come directly, and we don't have to ask to them the evaluation on ITRA points. It's more simple because they just need to continue what they did and to continue to register on our website and to give us after, as soon as the race is done, the result, to send them to us directly.
Thank you, Catherine. And Corinne actually had a second part to her question. She says, what if we qualified for registration in the past based on ITRA score? Is that worth anything now?
Yes, that's a very good question because it's the question of a transition. All the new rules will apply as for 2022 for UTMB Mont-Blanc registration for 2023. So we are currently in 2021, and the old rules still apply for so the qualifying points and so on. The old rules still apply this year, 2021, for the 2022 UTMB Mont-Blanc registration. And all what we explain today will begin in 2022 for 2023 UTMB Mont-Blanc registrations.
Okay, that's good to precise that. Thank you, Michel. Let's see, we have a few more questions. I think we still have a little bit of time. Vladlens, he says, my plan was run Val d'Aron by UTMB in Spain, and after getting to main event, is it still okay? I'm not really sure what he means by that. My plan was run Val d'Aron by UTMB in Spain, and after get to the main event. Is it still okay? Okay, main event meaning the Mont Blanc, I'm guessing.
Yes, absolutely. There is special rules. That's why we launch UTMB World Series is to stop to have so different rules. There is one rule right now for Val d'Aron is that the finisher of Val d'Aron will qualify directly for UTMB Mont Blanc, and yes, all the finisher of the big of the long distance on Val d'Aron will qualify for UTMB Mont Blanc next year.
Okay, thank you, Michel. We just have a little technical problem. My screen is not showing the next questions, so Corali's going to come and just show me where they went, the live questions. We lost them here. Okay, so let's see. Thank you, Corali. Okay. Okay, so for Michael is asking, after looking at the entry requirements for 2022 UTMB events and onward, do we keep the running stones collected at UTWT events?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, this is so easy. It's great. Yes, 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 yes. Amazing. Very simple. Okay, next question from Eric. Most runners feel it's becoming harder and harder to get in. Also unclear how to get in since last year canceled. Can you bring clarity on how to get into the UTMB Mont Blanc? I think we spoke about that, but maybe let's recap.
I think we say all we have to say. It is first, we respect all the promises we did. All of them will be respected. And then after we change into, we explain that all during the chat we had already.
Ray is asking, if we finish the Oman by UTMB or Thailand by UTMB, would we have an automatic or guaranteed entry to UTMB Chamonix?
Same answer as Catherine just said. All the promises will be kept. So finisher of by UTMB races but Oman will not happen this year, so it's not a question. Finisher of Oman last year won a guaranteed entry to UTMB Mont-Blanc, and so I think they still can use. I'm sorry, I have not all the details of in mind, and so it can be a little bit tricky to explain each case. And once again, that's why we also launch UTMB World Series as a new, simpler system, just to forget this old all the rules we put in the last years. It was quite very complicated, and so my just the advice for the runners who took part in past UTMB by UTMB races, is just to go on in their space runner on our website, and they will get the precise answer for their special case.
We have Carl who says, how can we achieve to UTMB as not being pro? But I think we spoke about this. It's the running stones and doing the World Series events. So we'll move on. Let's see. When will the events list be published? So Catherine, you mentioned in October we'll have the events. Let's see. I wonder if there will be an ultimate UTMB winner, like overall out of the World Series.
But I think we say that all the finals are just OCC for the 50K, CCC for the 100K, and UTMB itself for the 100 miles. So I think it's simple. There is 3 champions of UTMB. So I think it's normal.
So Britta says, does that mean the qualifying races all over the world where I get points will go away?
No, once again, we can't sell points and replace points by just an active performance index. But all qualifying races in the world who are currently giving points to the runner will help the runner in the future, as for 2022, will help the runners in the future to activate or to update their performance index and to get an entry at the second level UTMB World Series events.
It's quite the same, because if you have points, it's because you finished a race. If you have 6 points, maybe it's because you finished 100 miles. So in the same time, you have directly a performance index active in 100 miles classification. I think it's it's easy to think and more simple.
Okay, well, we're running out of time now, so thank you all of you for joining us, Fernanda, Marie, Michelle, Catherine, as well as Brian, Jim, and Stuart, who were joining us on video. Thanks, you guys, for getting up early and being part of today's question and answer session. Really appreciate your answers and your time and your enthusiasm for the new World Series moving forward. Thanks again, and we do invite you to go to utmb.world for more information, and we're looking forward to that calendar in October. Thanks, you guys. See you soon. Bye-bye.